Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the WGC Dell Match play. I'm going to be doing the course breakdown preview. I'm going to be breaking down the bracket. It was just released about an hour ago, giving you my first round picks for the Group 16. I am not going to be doing a recap of the Honda. In short, Matt Jones won. He was one of my picks. Actually did pretty well. It was a profitable weekend for me. But there was some, of course, as we knew, going to be some kind of, I don't know, like an alternate event, some guys that popped up that we were not expecting. But long story short, that's about it that I'm going to do from a recap perspective because we have so much to talk about. So thank you if you're stopping by. This is a first time, a little different show because we have a way different event. This is the only match play event now. Now the Zurich is no longer, and but it is one of my favorite events, and it kind of coincides right with March Madness. So let's talk about WGC Dell Match play. So first off, just to give you a little understanding from the scoring perspective and how this all works. So you've got 64 players, the top 64 ranked right now in the FedEx, and there's a few guys that were invited but decided not to play, and I'm not going to waste my time on that. But long story short, other guys came up, so then you have like the top, I think 69. So there's 5 guys that fell out. So you have the top 69 guys in the FedEx ratings. Each player, so it used to be a single elimination, but there are 16 groups, and there's going to be 4 players in each group. The announcement of those groups, excuse me, just came out, and I've got that information for you. And long story short, it's a round robin. So they have like an A player, a B player, a C player, a D player, depending on where you're seated. And the A player will play the B, the A player will play the C, the A will play the D, and whoever has the most points coming out of that round robin makes it to the Sweet 16, which then goes into single elimination. And you'll see there, if you win your match, you get a point. If you have a tie, you get a half point. And if you lose, you get 0 points. Of course, most points in each group advance. And if for some odd reason it comes out, which it does at times, within the group that there's a tie, then they go to a sudden death playoff stroke play event. And it's a lot of golf that these guys could play. The winner actually will end up playing 7 rounds of golf. And to give you a bit of understanding of where they were playing, they've been playing at this course, I believe, for like the last 5 years. It's in Austin, Texas. It's the Austin Country Club. And the big thing I put there, just to remind me, that this event starts on Wednesday, hence why I'm providing so much information in my first show. And then tomorrow, what I will do is go into giving you kind of from the Sweet 16 to your winner. Today, I'll get you at least through the first 16 groups is what I plan on covering. This is a Pete Dye's course. Of course, we just came from TPC Sawgrass not too long ago, where we had the players. So we can leverage a lot of information. It's Bermuda roughs and fairway. It's Bermuda greens. So, even though there is no stroke play information here, there's actually not a ton of information that you can kind of get from past except the winners and stuff like that. But if you want to get into a lot of the stroke gain analysis, it's just not available. So you got to go with a lot of things that you've seen recently because I think there is some definitely comp course correlation. How these guys have been playing tee to green and putting and chipping. So the good news is we've seen a lot of these guys in similar kind of courses, even against somewhat similar fields, but a total different mindset of you are not playing the course, you are playing the guy that you are facing at that time. And it is a total different way of playing. Hence, of course, they didn't play it last year, but in 2019, you had the upset Lucas Beauregard, who you might have never heard of. At that time, he was not that well known. Got kind of on the scene for this WGC event and then really wasn't really heard of again. But it can happen. A guy just enjoys that format. It takes a lot of guys back to their earlier days of playing high school or even college. So anyways, it is 64 people, as I mentioned. You got the 16 groups, 4 players in each. I kind of went through all of that. Just kind of a fun fact. A lot of the Georgia alumni here has done well in the last couple of years. Of course, Kisner won it in 2019 as still your champion, who beat Kuchar. So Kisner was a Georgia Bulldog. Kuchar went to Georgia Tech. Then you got Bubba Watson, who Kisner played in 2018, was in the finals, and Bubba Watson won. And Americans have won this 13 or the last 3 consecutive years. Before that, you had Jason Day, the Australian, who won 2 years in a row. This course is really unique, and it's actually a cool course. It's almost I'll break it down on the next slide, but it's really almost 2 different courses per 9 holes. You got water that will come into play on about 5 or 6 holes. I didn't count a sixth one because it's just kind of a stream that runs around, but as in like water around the green or that could possibly get in a fairway. You've got rock cliffs that if you go, off the fairway, and there's a lot of slope to these fairways, it runs through the little bit of first cut and a little bit of rough. It's off like a rock edge. So I recommend go on YouTube and watch some of the coverage from 2019. You just put in 2019 WGC Match Dell Play, round 1 highlights, round 2 highlights. Just, you can watch the Kuchar-Kisner match. You could watch the Beauregard Tiger Woods match, and they're like 5 minutes each. So just give you a really good understanding what this course looks like if you've never seen it. You got over 100 sand traps. You got trees. And there's typically weather here at this time of the year in Austin, Texas. You get the wind, you can get the cold in the morning. Yeah, and from a green size, they're all a little different, but are pretty average. And there's a lot of undulation and slope. A lot like I would almost put these almost in the little bit of the category of what we saw at TPC sawgrasses. And you got to know where to use the slopes, where to land it to make the ball go towards the hole, or where you cannot go depending on where the pin is. So kind of back to that kind of zoning out the green and know where to hit and where not to. And so I kind of mentioned this, almost 2 different courses. So if you see the front side, you got to worry about the trees. You can kind of see here's the rocks. So those cliffs I was telling you about, you got some greens that the rocks run along. So if you miss the green off by too much, you're off a rock cliff. And then you kind of get down in this lower area next to Lake Austin. And this is where a lot of the water runs in. I feel like it's a little more open and forgiving. I feel like the guys that hit the ball a little further could take advantage on this 9. I feel like the guys on this front 9 is, built for the plotters, the strategic kind of think your way through the golf course. Hence, you can kind of look at the guys that have been successful recently, the Kuchars and the Kisners, the Molinaris, guys that hit the fairway, hit greens and are good putters on Bermuda. And that's kind of a little bit where I'm going to be leaning on my picks. Just a kind of a heads up. That's the narrative I'm going to stick with. Now, of course, you look at Jason Day, who's won, or DJ. So guys with length can get around this course, but it's a lot like TPC Sawgrass, where, it really does not favor one type of golfer versus another. It's just the guys that are hitting fairways, greens, and of course get hot with the putter, as very typical. To give you kind of a breakdown on the scorecard, you can see a little bit what I was saying. Some of the easier holes are on the back 9. You've got only 3 par 5s, but they're gettable. You've got a lot of the par 4s where there's some short par 4s. There's 2 short par 3s and then 2 longer par 3s. You got a 145 and a 165. And then if you look, you got almost a 200 and a 200. 2 of the tougher holes you can see on the course. You got this long par 4. So you got a good mix of everything. The only thing I would say, again, is just keep in your mind the back 9 is a little easier. So, from a showdown perspective, and I'm not, for me, the whole DraftKings thing, and I can't remember the year, but there was a time where DraftKings didn't touch this WCGC match play. Literally, you just had to do a bracket and get involved that way. And I can't remember off the top of my head when they started to get involved. And you need just a heads up. You do need to go and check out how they score this, because it's totally different than what we're used to from a DraftKings perspective. Again, of course, it's not about how many pars, birdies, bogeys, all that. It's all about their per hole match, how they do. And then if they win, like let's say they win 4-2, they don't play a couple holes because they are already up and there's no way the other guy can win. They actually get so many points for the 2 holes they don't play. So it's a total different way of scoring. So I just, I didn't put that up here. You can go on DraftKings, and when you're getting in certain events, check that out. So funny enough, using Fantasy National, usually I can always pull up course history, but they only had from 2017 below at Austin Country Club. They didn't have what happened here in 1819. I have no clue why. But the short of it is, as I already kind of mentioned, It's a tough course. You got firm greens, you got fast greens. You already know it's less than 7,200 yards, but this is what I thought was interesting. That, as I already mentioned, typically at this time of the year, you are going to get wind, or it can get super windy. So you need, and this where I think that's what's going to come down to a lot. I mean, ball flight, guys that maybe don't hit that high ball like the Rorys, or even if I think of Jason Day, guys that like a Neiman that can control and hit a lower ball flight. And then one thing I did want to look at is when I looked at the past winners. Again, I can't. With even in Fantasy National, there's no information. The event doesn't even come up. So what I want to do, and this event typically takes place in the past at the very end of March, which it is again. And so what I want to do is just see how these guys were playing going into that event and what were they doing well. And you can, what the key thing that kind of just kept popping out at me is tee to green, was the key kind of stat. So, of course, you had DJ going in who just won the WGC Mexico not too short before, and was just firing all green on all cylinders. So he was going in again. This is back in 2017. Was going in there very hot. He had Bubba who won, and he won at the Genesis like a month or so before. Did well at the WGC Mexico. Didn't do that great at the Arnold Palmer going in, but found something here, and again, but was firing tee to green. And then the same with Kisner. He had a bunch of 20ths. And I was doing everything well. Maybe around the green was a little shaky. And you can see here that Bubba just struggled putting that day. But anyways, again, it doesn't help us a ton because we can't really figure out what they did well here. But from understanding this event, watching quite a bit of it in my past, I always just, the guys, there's guys that just love match play, and there's guys that really, don't seem like I don't want to say they don't like it, don't excel at it. There's guys that, just kind of think and plot their way. And I want the guys that can really hit fairways, greens, and putt. And I'm not so worried about the distance, or even, the guys that make eagles and stuff like that. It's just a different thought process. So on that note, how to win here, what I think is key, tee to green, number one, you got to have accuracy, you got to have good drives. Cause like I said, there's water, or you got a lot of trees. There's not a lot of room to be off with the driver. And also you got a lot of slope. Approach, of course, is always critical. How close can you get it to the hole? The one thing that does show up and everything I've seen, could find out, was a lot of shots are hit between 100 and 125. That's due to the shorter par fours, or also if you're laying up on the par fives. That's the proximity that I will be looking at, just looking at their past like 12 rounds. We need guys that can putt well in Bermuda. They got to be able to scramble, sand saves, good around the green. Birdie or better opportunities. That means you're giving yourself opportunities. I think we need to look at the guys who are Pete Dye specialists. That brings in like RBC Heritage Harbortown and the players for TPC Sawgrass. And I just mentioned there's 3 par fives. But again, it's not all about how much eagles and stuff they can make from a point perspective. It's just be able to beat the guy next to you, and knowing if that guy drives one off the tee wayward, that might change your whole concept of how you're going to play the hole. You might grab a hybrid or an iron, get it, know that you already have an advantage, get it and play. And it's all about winning that hole. And it's such a different mindset than what we're used to. I already mentioned the comp courses, but I will be, as I've already done a bit of analysis before I'm making these picks that I'll be giving you. But in short, these are the courses that I also kind of looked at to see what the kind of past record was. And then a quick look at the field. So pricing is not out. I'm recording this around 1 o'clock on Monday. But this is the field. And it's funny, I think there were some extra guys in here because they didn't announce yet. I think they had some buffer guys just in case, like a Chris Kirk, actually popped up one time. I think he might have been the 20th guy on this, but he's not in this. He did not make the field, at least right now, unless somebody backs out. But anyways, funny enough, and this is with a Pete Dye filter on. So this is looking at guys' background success at Pete Dye courses. Their last 12 rounds, of course, they had to be on those courses. And then the tee to green weighted at 20%, good drives weighted at 15, approach at 15, sand saves at 5, scrambling at 5, around the green at 10, putting at 15, and then, of course, the procs. And this is how I weight it in the birdie or better. And then if you click my rank, it'll rank them, 1 to 20. As I said, you're seeing 1-19. And these are guys that popped up. DeChambeau said, even funny enough, DeChambeau at the RBC Heritage, which is a very tight track, and he's done well there. I think he's had like an 8, a third. Of course, Siwoo, and whenever he plays, a Pete Dye course for some odd reason, he does very well. He's very good tee to green. It's just whatever the putter does. Paul Casey, you would expect. Brian Harmon makes sense. Abraham Hanser, great tee to green guy. DJ, I think, has been a little bit off. We'll talk a little bit about that. But anyways, of course, Sergio had that great opening round at TPC Sawgrass. So yeah, a lot of these guys, I think are very, very live and very someone that we have to look at. Okay, so if you haven't seen this yet, what I did is actually they had a live show. I think it was the PGA Tour Live. And so what I did is I grabbed this for us, and that way there we can go through each group. I'll just give you my thoughts. I have already did some analysis. I'm not going to go into all the analysis. So usually I do show a lot of the analysis, but I just want to let you know I didn't just go, oh, I like that guy, I like that guy. I have done analysis for these, and so let's do this. So you've got group one. This is group 1s and 2, and it doesn't mean that these guys will be playing each other coming out. I'm not at this point looking at, who do I want to take depending on who they're going to have to play coming out of this. First thing we got to figure out is who makes it out of these 16 groups, and then we can worry about who they're going to play later. And this part is just let's see who gets out of these groups. And so, of course, really out of these 4, it comes down to 2 guys. It's pretty simple. If you do all the analysis, I mean, Adam Long had a decent showing at TPC Sawgrass. Robert McIntyre, is his first appearance. And that's also what you'll see here is her past record in this event, just so you know. So that information is kind of interesting. So you got a couple first appearances, and that's not the big reason why I'm not taking these guys. It really just comes down between DJ and Na. But if you look at what DJ's been doing over the last 2 events, I just don't know where his head's at. I don't know how excited he is even playing this. He is a past winner, of course, in 2017. But I feel like I've said this before, he's still in a little bit of a Masters hangover. He's had some issues with the putter. He had some issues earlier with the driver. So, really who I'm thinking, and I hate it. It kind of bothers me because you guys know I'm not a Kevin Na fan, especially after he withdrew after that, on number 17, putting, a few in the water and having kind of a baby fit. But everything I see and everything I know about Kevin Na, I think he is a good one to come out of this group. The guy, he's great on approach. He's, when he's hot with the putter, which he typically is, that's one of his strengths. He's played this event quite a bit, and he's got a pretty decent record. So if I had to go with, I'm not trying to be super sneaky, but, everything is telling me that Na could definitely come out of this group. And I just don't know where DJ's head and want is. Now, of course, he is coming in as the number 1 ranked guy. But, that it would be my pick coming out of there. The next one, looking at group 2, and not to show, but, I'm going with Justin Thomas. Now, I think this is one of the tougher groups to pick. You can eliminate Kuchar right off the bat, just, even though he is a runner-up and, his head, but his game is just not where it was. So, you just look at where they're playing and how they're playing. You can't really look at what they've done in past. I just don't think it's relevant. Even with Kevin Kisner, his game is not where it's been. And really, for me, it became between Justin Thomas and Louis. It's so hard because Kisner has done so well here, but his game, I just feel like is not. If you looked at that form I showed you when he won, that's not where his form is. Justin Thomas coming off the recent one at TPC, I think he's very confident and he kills it on approach. He, leads him and Morikawa. So everything, I kind of want to be different and be like, oh, I'm going to go with Louis or Kisner, but everything I could see, everything I think of, I think Justin Thomas, just for this group coming out, I think he's your winner out of group 2. And it's not a shocker. But, both these guys fit the plotter course. It's just as long as Thomas keeps doing what he's been doing, he had that, like I said, just coming off the recent form at TPC. I see no reason why he will not come out of that group. Okay, group 3 and 4. Again, if you look at this, it's pretty much, we just watched Lowry just fall apart at the Honda. His short game and putting is really been the putter. It's just been terrible. He had a couple of good days with it, hence why he got up the leaderboard on the Honda and then started to fall back. Munoz is so streaky. He's a great showdown, even like a last man in on your GPP because the guy will get points. But I think in this event, he's just from a putter perspective, makes me a little nervous. And then Palmer, same thing. This group, I'd put Munoz and Palmer in the same thing. If you're playing a showdown, or first round leader, something like that. But when they've got to play 3 matches against these other guys, and you can even see what record for Ryan Palmer is. It's his first appearance. I mean, it'd probably be if Shane's putter was where I know with the wind, it would be between him and Rahm. And then when I, just boil it all down, again, not, trying to pick the guy that's the A player. And that's what you're looking at here, right? These guys are grouped A, B, C, D, and then are ranked accordingly. But Rahm, I see no way Rahm should not come out of this group. And this one's a tough one too. Group 4, you can sit here and you got Poston, who's a great putter, but shaky off the tee and approach. You got Max, who's been in great form, but finally kind of burned out, missed a cut at I believe it was TPC. Yeah, and then you got Billy Horschel, great putter on Bermuda, and has played quite a bit in this. And then you got Morikawa, who's just elite tee to green, and then you're getting the Jekyll and Hyde new putter grip, right, where he had a bad event, I believe, at the Genesis, and then he came out at WGC Workday Concession, won that event, putted outstandingly, outstanding 7 days later, and then regressed at TPC, where he couldn't make a putt again. But, everything's telling me I'm just worried about the putter. And Billy Horschel's got experience here. It's Bermuda. I guess I kind of like everything. If I had 2 picks, I would, be more. It's really almost a toss up between Morikawa and Billy Horschel. I think Max is just kind of burned out. It'd be kind of his first time. Now, he's also got that kind of fighter bulldog. You saw when he had the, kind of, in match with Finau and just him fighting his way through it. This is one tough one, but right now I'm leaning towards Horschel. Okay, Group 5. Pretty solid group here too. Of course, DeChambeau, awesome recent form, and I kind of mentioned already that what he's done at Pete Dye courses. You also got Siwoo Kim, who's a Pete Dye specialist. So for me, it was out of those 2, and I ended up on Bryson DeChambeau. It really just goes back again where I just always got to keep my mindset that what he can do at RBC Heritage and what we've been seeing at the Pete Dye courses. As long as he understands that he can't pull out the big dog every time, but hit the smaller stuff, which is such an advantage. He can hit, his 3 iron or his, 4 iron, what a lot of these guys hit their 3 wood, to keep it into play. And then when he gets on that other 9 that's a little more open, just terrorize it. So if I had to go 1-2, it would have been, DeChambeau's my number 1 coming out of this. Siwoo would be my second. And then out of Group 6, pretty solid. I mean, I just removing Andy Sullivan, just everything that I'm not saying who knows, anything can happen in this. He could be the Oral Roberts, maybe, of this whole thing, or the Lucas Beauregard. But I like Scotty. It's a home course. He's played this course a bit, I guess, from my understanding. He's been playing great, and he does what I want to see tee to green. Of course, Jason Day has also been doing very well tee to green. But just still amazing enough. Just the putter is his nemesis. And then Xander, he's just been kind of blah. And the simplest way to put it, like, I just haven't seen the greatest recent form. Of course, at TPC, Sawgrass, but again, all these have kind of blend together. But if I remember correctly, I don't even think he made the cut. So anyways, that is how I see those groups shaking out. Oops, I guess it's not popping in. It's already in. Groups 7 and 8. Well, you already can see who I'm picking there. I think for me, it was between Joaquin and Reed. And Patrick Reed, just a match play, is just a bulldog. He just finds a way to always get it done. He's got a ridiculous short game. Hasn't been exactly where it's been from a putter and around a green, but is definitely better than Joaquin Niemann's. Now, tee to green, I think Joaquin Niemann, could definitely give him a run for his money. Bazane, who, good putter in Bermuda. He's shown us some decent recent form. Bubba's game is just not where it's been. Again, who knows? You could come shock us, but you gotta kind of go what you've seen recently and the form coming into this and what we know they can do. So I like Patrick Reed. And then Sergio, this is actually I think, a tough group too. Westwood, you can remove him. As you saw, he's just burned out. It's shocking that he's even playing this event. Wouldn't shock me if he withdrew. But for me, it came down to Terrell Hatton and Sergio. And again, being a Pete Dye, he's great tee to green. He just comes down the putter, but Terrell's form, I rode him through the whole Florida swing, and he just kept disappointing. So, I'm going to go with the guy that has done, loves match play a little bit like Patrick Reed, right? You got the battle here. And that would be my guy coming out of Group 8. And groups 9 and 10. For me, you can eliminate Mackenzie Hugh and Taylor Gooch. Mackenzie Hugh, putter specialist, but sprays it all over the place. Taylor Gooch showing some decent form. Of course, he had a nice showing. He did all right at the Honda, made the cut, but nothing great there. But had that great Sunday at TPC at the Players. And, but Webb, this is, I think, a pretty good Webb course. The problem is Webb just hasn't been firing on all cylinders, and Casey's had better form. Now, the problem is Casey will miss, some 4-footers that just will blow your mind. So, we'll see how that all shakes out. But if I had to 1-2, it'd be these guys, and I'm going to go with Casey or the lean. And then again, Hideki's form has not been good. Carlos Ortiz, I think he's, he won the Vivid Houston Open. Great tee to green, but the putter and around the green is shaky. And Cantlay also, he should have won at AT&T Pebble Beach. Of course, Berger won that. And since then, he's just kind of been kind of blah. And Brian Harman just showed really good form recently at TPC. And I think this fits right in his wheelhouse, almost like the kind of Kisner, Louis, where just hitting fairways, greens, just getting under your skin that, the guy's just unflappable, and he's a great putter. So the small lefty, I'll go with there. And it finally has come out. It's finally, like, we've been sitting there trying to figure out what the heck is going on with Rory.
Swing issues, and where it all stems from probably like October last year. Doing a little bit of speed training, sort of getting sucked into that stuff. Swing got flat, long, too rotational. Obviously added some speed and hitting the ball longer, but what that did to my swing as a whole probably wasn't a good thing.
And hence why you're seeing the driver sometimes yank left, you're seeing it right, you're seeing things that you never saw Rory. Of course, he had a little break, but I don't think he's fixed it. And even if he thinks he's fixed it, once he gets out there, it's going to probably creep up back again. I just think Cameron Smith is just a fighter. I've got a bet on him to win the Masters. We saw what he did in the past there. Well, not that long ago. That course is going to play totally different, but I digress. That's a whole different topic. But Lanto's in great form. Ian, I think, is a little shaky. We all know, his putter is not where it used to be, almost like Henrik Stenson. They're just, kind of coming off the downfall. I almost look at him a little bit in the Mickelson train. So for me, honestly, it would come down to Smith and Lanto right now. And I give Smith the advantage. Now, of course, it's all what he does off the tees. He's not maybe the most elite tee to green, but the guy is just around the green and putting is ridiculous. So I like Cam Smith. And this one I took a little bit. I removed Fratelli out the bet, even though, again, he did well at the Masters not too long ago. And, has had some decent showings. I think he popped up at the Players. And really, all these guys you can make a case for. Tony, of course, missed the cut at the Players, but the guy's, recent results and tee to green, everything is awesome. You got Kokrak, who, I think lengthened his putter an inch and has become one of the best putters. So now he's pretty good tee to green and also can putt. I just like Will Z. I look at him as he could be the sleeper. He could be the Beauregard. Of course, he's, top 20 master on all his events. I think he's going to be super pumped for this. Not too long coming out of the college ranks. Of course, played the Corn Ferry. But I don't know. There's the only reason on this is I just think he could be kind of the sleeper. He could be the one that, say maybe Final Four, but, make the grade 8 or something like in this thing. So that's why I picked Will Z out of this group. And, it wasn't a ton other than that. Group 13, for me, okay, Victor, he's been struggling his last couple outings. And, the round the green and the putting, of course, tee to green, both these guys are so funny. So for me, it really came down. And even Streelman is interesting for this course. They're all kind of interesting. This is probably one of the harder from a how do you say it? Just kind of middle of the pack. It's really whoever has the putter here. And Abraham's been so close. Again, he led the players, I think, in a lot of the tee to green categories. Just again, couldn't putt. But these two are very identical in that sort. So I'm going with Abraham. Hopefully, finally, he's going to putt and his event sits well. This group, I think, is the easiest one. Group 14. Harris English has just been trash. Withdrew from was it the players right before. Um, Brendan Todd's just kind of fallen back. You can see he's not done so hot here. He is kind of one that could be a little bit of a sleeper because he loves to putt on Bermuda. You know, if he's on, he's hitting fairways and greens left and right. But so is Berger. Berger's been doing it better. You can see his record's not great here, but you know he can putt on Bermuda. Pretty solid tee to green, and EVR just his game's just been rough. I'm kind of actually shocked that he's still in here. I think he shot 5 or 6 over the last day at the Honda Classic. So yeah, I'm not worried so much about EVR. But again, you never know. It's match play. But so if I had to rank this one, it'd be Berger 1, Todd 2. If I had to rank this one, it'd be Answer 1, Victor 2. And then Group 15 makes it real simple. Matthew Wolff, disaster. Again, it wouldn't shock me if he pulls out. We've been talking about him. I think I told you just mentally he's shot. He's got to get his confidence back. And who knows? Maybe it's at this event. But he's just been spraying it all over the place. So, quickly I eliminated him. Then it really comes down to these three guys. And Spieth, of course, Texas guy, been showing amazing form. I just think in a match play, he's had so much experience. Corey, great tee to green, but just the putter, if you had to pick the best putter, really it would come down for me is between Fitzpatrick and Spieth. And I'm just going to give the nod to Jordan. Just amazing recent form. As long as he can, keep doing what he's doing tee to green, and just on Sunday or for this it'd be it's a couple. If he makes it out of this group, how he performs as it keeps trucking on. Then I have to say my sleeper out of all these guys. Your first look at this, a lot of people probably lean towards Sanjay. Not the greatest, Honda Classic recently. Not bad, but with the field that he had, there's no reason why he shouldn't repeat there, as far as I'm concerned. Russell Henley showed some life at the Honda. I kept looking for Russ once they got to the Florida swing, and he just kept kind of disappointed. And as soon as I was off him, I just kind of laughed that he all of a sudden, I think it was like on Friday, he's up on top of the leaderboard, not on top, but up there in the leaderboard. Of course, Matt Jones, shot that amazing 61 and just did well enough to keep it, keep the lead and win. But I've watched Victor over the last few tournaments, and the guy is just steady and doesn't mind a putt on Bermuda, and he's just a tough player. So, out of these guys, I mean, you could really make a case probably for all four of these. I just like Victor, again, a little bit on the Lucas Bjerregaard, someone that probably a lot of guys aren't going to be on. So that's it. That was a little long-winded. I didn't go into all the analysis why. I tried to explain it to the best I could verbally. I will do a bunch more analysis and get into, we'll break the bracket out and then try to see who's going to match up against who and who we like. And, maybe I'll show a little more on that side of the inside, the information. But just want to let you guys get a first kind of understanding of what's going on here, what's the guys that are in which groups, and who I think is going to come out of each group. And then we can kind of decipher the rest of it. So check out my show tomorrow where I will go from the guys that come out of that first group, and then we'll put them in the bracket and see who we like going forward to win this thing. All right, all the best of luck to you. Hope you had a decent Honda Classic. Like I said, I didn't get into a lot of that because we have so much to cover. And again, this starts Wednesday morning, and so we just don't have the time. I didn't want to spend a ton of time on that. All right, talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.